The MEIKE 85mm PRO F1.8 was the first of their set of the Pro lineup. The lineup consists of low aperture f1.8 lenses with quite uniform size and weight and incredible image quality. From my observations, the lenses are sharp with minimal vignetting and focus breathing and balanced nicely on a gimbal, just like the Lumix S primes are known for. In this video, I'll see if it's worth carrying multiple $300 prime lenses instead of my trusted $1,600 Samyang 35-150, and give a little insight of how it's been using the lens, specifically mounted on a dedicated gimbal camera. I've always wanted to buy a set of the Lumix S primes to be paired with a gimbal camera, as they're relatively cheap and uniform in size, which makes them easy to swap lenses without throwing the gimbal off balance. But with the Norwegian prices, they range between $730 and $1,050 for each lens, except for the 50mm, which is around $500. That means it's quite the investment to get the set. Instead, I'm using the Samyang 35-150 on my handheld rig. This way I can be versatile with just moving around and capturing the moment. And now I'll just use the smaller gimbal camera for the smooth shots throughout the day. Since the MEIKE set is so affordable, it actually makes it possible for me to afford my dream of having a separate gimbal rig, since they're half the cost of their Lumix S primes, which I've been saving up for. With this, I could use a smaller gimbal, so right now I'm using the RS4 Mini with this set, and the controversial small camera, the Lumix S9. This is a great combo, and I'll have a separate video about my wedding rig coming up later, so subscribe for that. The MEIKE PRO 85mm was released first in November of 2024, and the 55mm came right after it in February 2025. Now, in July, there was also another lens, which is the 35mm, and I'll have a separate video about this one that I recommend checking out afterwards. Because of the MEIKE PRO lineup's size, weight, and f-stop, I can't stop thinking that they're made as a direct competition for the Lumix S primes, which has been out for many years and has a complete set of 18, 24, 35, 50, and 85, as well as a macro-capable 100mm lens. I'm really hopeful in their next releases that there'll be a ultra-wide low distortion lens, as well as another lens which is macro-capable, as it's rumored that MEIKE will be releasing 2 to 3 lenses in the Pro series this year alone. The MEIKE 85mm is 388 grams, which makes it around 11 grams heavier than the 35mm, which could throw out the gimbal slightly, but I think the weight difference is quite negligible. Manual focusing is smooth, and in the Lumix cameras you can customize the linear focus throw from 90 degrees and in 30 degrees increments all the way up to 306 degrees and even up to 1080 degrees in larger steps. This is great, as with my Samyang 35-150 it starts at 360 degrees linear focus throw, which is a bit too much, and it's very hard to nail the manual focus that way if you're a solo shooter. The focus breathing is very controlled, and comparing it to my Samyang 35-150, which is said to have around 3 to 4% focus breathing, around the 85mm mark, I'd say the MEIKE really delivers. Focus breathing is something that can get really annoying if you need to do a big focus rack, so having the 85mm be this controlled actually makes me quite happy. The lens doesn't seem to either be suffering from vignette issues, as there's no clear black corners and barely any darkness is added to the actual image. Vignetting is not something I personally care too much about, as I tend to add some in post either way, but it's nice to know that it's good in that regard. The close focus of the lens is 85 centimeters, which compared to the Lumix S 85 is 5 centimeters further away. It's close enough for most use cases, but once again, even the Samyang 35-150 zoom lens will be slightly better. And I've said this in the 35mm review as well. They have an aperture ring which is manual, so it's great that you can change it from auto to f16 and all the way down to 1.8. But this is very easy to knock, as there's no locking mechanism. So if you go from A to 16, you're basically going from f1.8, which is what you set inside of the camera, to f16, which can be annoying. The MEIKE 85mm Pro costs around $340. And it has weather sealing gasket and nano drive autofocus. As for image quality, I'd say the corners look very sharp even at f1.8, and the autofocus areas looks lovely. MEIKE also makes a set of lenses which is called the Mix lineup, which starts at a low f-stop of f1.4. But those differ more in size and weight between the different lenses and would probably not pair as nicely with a small gimbal rig like these do. If you're like me and you're building a lightweight gimbal rig, I'd recommend getting at least 2 of the MEIKE Pro lenses. I currently own both the 35mm and 85mm, and I made a separate video where I'm talking about the 35mm, which you can check out next. I'll be patiently waiting for them to release more lenses to the set, as I'm very happy with this duo, but hopefully there will be a wider angle next. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.